Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. Boy, do we have a lot to cover. Lots of earnings reports, lots of catalysts, lots going on. I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas, a bunch of leads, a lot of this stuff. Definitely, you guys need to follow up on your own because there is way too much information out there last night and this morning for me to have great takes on everything. But we'll do our best here. Definitely some trading opportunities. Before we get into the macro, because we talked about that yesterday, nothing really changed today, right? We'll get to that soon. We'll talk about that again soon in terms of SPY QQQ, midterm CPI. We'll get to that TLT, but let's go through all of these earnings reports. TWI first, the agriculture sector. Top three I'm showing here. These are CNHI, Spartan. Spartan already had earnings like a week or so ago, but the stock is breaking out to 52-week highs. We'll look at that chart in just a second. TWI, I own that going to earnings today. Earnings were pretty good. The top line missed slightly, 530 versus 544, but the bottom line beat 54 cents to 48 cents. The top line missed because of Forex issues, but they're still guiding for the top of the top line for the full year 2022. So I guess they're going to catch up in Q4. And the commentary was very bullish, very strong cash flow, paying off debt. So TWI, I'm very happy with that report. It's above all the key moving averages, and I suspect it could have a good day today. Now, there might even be a good opportunity because of the top line miss. You might see something where it pulls back first before moving up. So TWI, I own that. I'm looking forward to a good day in that. CNHI, another ag company. This one's $10 billion market cap. TWI is $1 billion. So the larger the market cap, actually, the better trading opportunities usually there is. It's more liquid. You get a bigger sentiment premium usually. So CNHI, in addition to that, their fundamentals in terms of expectations looked like an even bigger beat than TWI. It beat on both the top and the bottom line. Why isn't it showing here, the report? But I don't know why it's not in this particular feed, but they beat on both the top and the bottom line and pretty extensively also. So you see CNHI up here 5% on 300,000 shares. Now the PE of implied, if you take the last quarter and annualize it, I want to compare TWI to CNHI here to see which one's kind of better, right? So TWI going into this had a 7.33 trailing PE. CNHI had a 12 trailing PE. Now, TWI, if you analyze their most recent, their earnings that just came out here, that 7 kind of drops to like 6 or something, all right? So it's like, okay, you see some acceleration, some improvement in earnings going forward. But CNHI goes from like 12 to 8, right? Where were they? They're at 12. If you analyze their numbers, that's 8. That's like a big improvement going forward. It's a back of the napkin kind of way to look at it, kind of a cheat code. You really have to study it much more to see if this is accurate. But initially, that looks good here. So I did jump in at 1375 this morning, and you can see here the 200 DMA is at 1358, 1360. I'm actually hoping this pulls back to like 1360. So you also have the 50 DMA at 1408. So these are the levels we're looking at: 1360, 1408. It's above both of them now. Is it going to find support intraday at one or both of those levels? This is a nice W pattern too. Look at that W bottom pattern on CNHI. Let's go to the 5-year, see what this looks like. So CNHI up 5%. I really like this stock for at least a day trade. Picked it up at 1375, and I'm going to see if I can get into the pullbacks on CNHI. Another one to point out, Spartan Nash, even though they posted like last week and we posted that report, it really kind of had a delayed reaction. Didn't move until yesterday. And this thing is breaking out to 52-week highs, and it's also highly shorted, 8% short. So this is very interesting, this food company. So another one that perhaps could be a good trade opportunity in there. All right, let's go to some other earnings now. XXII, I think we're seeing a little bit of sell the news this morning. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a press release come out at 9:30 a.m. on XXII. All right, they did their news at 6 a.m. It wasn't terrible, but here it is. It says EPS was in line, but sales missed by $500,000. Right, not a terrible deal. You had a big long press release with all of their recent catalysts and recent traction they've been getting. Now they have a conference call at 10 o'clock. All right. I'm thinking there's a possibility. Just stay tuned. Keep this top of your list. There's a possibility of news at 9:30. If there's not, maybe you get a little bit of sell the news in this, unless they throw you lots of great nuggets at 10 a.m. So I'm going to be listening to the conference call at 10 a.m. The stock has moved on conference calls before, so we'll see if there's any nuggets in here. But I did take some off the table the last couple of days going into this report, so I could reload lower in case we get a sell the news event. So that's we really don't know until it happens. I'm positioned to buy more if we sell the news, and I'll be listening to the conference call to see if there's great news to see if we rocket forward. All right, talk. I've been talking about this for a little bit because I've heard rumors from different people that talk may be involved in this Aetna down. So that's why this is on my radar. Now, talk, I think, had a pretty good report. The CC is still going on. I just got off of that conference call, and they are growing, sequentially growing their revenue pretty quickly now. They're losing money, obviously, but they're cutting costs. They said they're doing $4 million a quarter and cutting in OPEX, and that doesn't even consider cuts in marketing they expect to do. So, man, where could this go if the market likes that CC? You see, you have 80-cent resistance at the 20 DMA. I guess that's your first target. Going to be tough breaking that 80-cent level. But they said the key significant thing they said on the conference call is as a result of all the changes they're making and their revenue growth and their cost cutting, that they have enough cash to reach profitability. And they said that pretty emphatically twice from two different executives. So that's really, really, really important to hear. And the market might like that. So I think at the least we're going to test the 20 DMA, if not today, tomorrow. And then I think there's even a possibility we break above the 20 and head towards the 50. But I'd like to hear the whole conference call. I had to back out right here at the start of this show. I'd like to hear what the other analyst questions are and what else they say. So I guess those are the two targets, 80 cents and then possibly 95, 98 cents. So I'll be looking at that. I do own that at a deep loss. So we'll see what happens on talk. All right, CTLP had earnings last night. I know there was some commentary in the CTLP room from Mark Gomes and Chris Tuttle. They like what they're seeing. They missed on earnings. They beat on revenue, missed on earnings because of higher one-time costs, they're saying. So listen, it's a nice little story. I think it could be a good long-term investment. I'm personally a little skeptical about the value. Like, to me, this is not something that's a 5 to 10 bagger. If I'm holding a micro cap and I have to hold it for 3+ years or whatever it is, or 2+ years, like I'm looking for 5 to 10, 15 time returns personally. I don't see that here. I could be wrong, but this looks like just a nice, nice little company that could have some decent returns over the next couple of years. So we'll see. Maybe I'll bring on Mark or Chris or someone in the next couple of days to give them their perspective, because they are definitely bigger experts on that stock than me. But that's my perspective from a kind of far view. Want to mention KODK has earnings tonight, and they really did great on earnings last quarter. Really a surprise quarter, flipping to profitability. Look at this bullish 20 to 200 cross that's about to happen, it looks like, on the daily. And look at this chart. Lots of little W bottoming formations here, overlapping each other. And over the year, it's been pretty stable, volatile, but in a stable range. I'm thinking it's possible KODK pulls off another great quarter today. I own some, not nearly the position I had when I first got into this. But this is something I might go overweight into earnings, or at least just watch really closely and jump into it if earnings are great. And I think it might be. I have a feeling that they're doing some good stuff there. That was a big change in financial performance last quarter in a tough macro environment. I think that I attribute that to management and changes they're making internally there. And we know that management, someone on the board of directors had that big insider buy. They seem to have a lot of faith in this company. All right. Now, a few big cap names that I think could be great kind of trading stocks today, potentially. GFS, NVIDIA, and Meta. Meta, I mentioned yesterday morning, that the sentiment change with they're going to be firing people, that's usually a good catalyst to cause a stock to reverse direction. And I think that has legs. I think that story has legs. And, maybe this goes all the way up to the 20 DMA at 108, 110 or something like that. So Meta, an interesting one. And on the Wolf Financial Spaces show last night, I want to mention there were two panelists who chose Meta as their trade of the week. And I kind of have to agree with that that's a good pick. Speaking of Wolf Financial, I forgot to mention our picks. We did not win last week. We almost won. We were so close to winning because we threw out two ideas last week. It was BTU and COM. We gave the thesis to both of them, and I let the host decide which one he wanted after we did a quick chart analysis together, and he chose COM. So anyway, we lost last week after winning the prior week with XXII and Clearfield. Our other pick was Sego, which was up slightly, but was not enough to take the cake. So last night on Wolf Financial Spaces, our two stocks. First one was TWI based on the earnings beat last earnings in. I would have chosen that. And our other pick for that competition is we're coming to what I come to it. CANO. That was next after Meta. Okay. I forgot to talk about GFS and NVDA. We'll come right back to that. So CANO was my second pick for trade of the week. And the reason I picked this is, look, this is pulled back after the CVS rumors, the CVS negotiations. It was on, then it was off. It's now below the level of where it was before it was on. Okay, that tells me there's actually some stress here in terms of, hey, if they don't do a deal, they may have some debt or stuff like that. They may need to raise money. That's what that tells me, that price action. But the last few days here, look at this price action. We found double support at 330. Well, you can't see it on that chart clearly, but 330, it's bouncing off the 330 level a couple times here. And the MACD looks like it's about to flip. And I pointed this out before. You have massive call volume on the 1250 2024 call. So I'm thinking that there's going to at some point be another rumor, another engagement of a possible buyout, and maybe with this technical setup, low RSI, MACD flipping, 330, bounce a couple times, we can make a move to that 20 DMA 450. And the reason I chose a stock like this and TWI for trade of the week is because CPI is Thursday, and if it's hot, then you can see our, hot stocks like Air and BTU that have taken off so much. You can see them significantly pulling back, but you can see relative strength in agriculture and health. So that's why I chose TWI and CANO for this week. Now, going back, I forgot to mention GFS should have been on my watch list. It wasn't. We've talked about this before, a new semiconductor company and global foundry manufacturer. So this one I saw on social media, someone posted it was a beat, and I'm like, what? Yeah, I love, that was always an interesting story. I'm like, why didn't I get that news? And I checked, it wasn't on my watch list, so I added it to my 300 stock watch list. Got to delete some stuff. And so earnings looks like it was a beat and raise this morning, and the stock is up 10%. So, man, where are we now? Ooh, 61.84, way up here. Don't have a lot of data, see, to do good technical analysis on this. You have these candles, but you don't have your moving averages. So 61.87 all the way up here. That all-time high, well, no, all-time high, no, but you have a high here, that one-year high right here, about $65. You got some resistance, but with that kind of good news, this is something I'd be looking, if I were to day trade, I'd be looking for pullbacks. You see this level at 58. This is the high of a few days ago. Maybe you get a pullback to 58. Maybe you can get a pullback to yesterday's close, 56, 58, and buy it back up again. Let's check pre-market. Had some support. Yeah, 58 keeps bouncing, keeps showing up. So it's 60, a level there. But this is something, if it pulls back to 58 in the morning, it might kind of have those afternoon V-shaped moves, which we see so much in stocks that have good news. So that's something that may be a good day trading stock. NVIDIA also, I want to point out, I think it was Matt in the room posted some good news in an article that NVIDIA has created a chip for China that goes around the U.S. export restriction. I don't see the story here, or maybe I do. There it is. NVIDIA shares are trading higher following reports suggesting the company will offer a new advanced chip in China that meets recent export control rules. So that seems like great news. I don't know how great it is, but the headline seems great. And this chart looks great. It's in kind of blue sky zone. You have the 2050 bullish cross trying to happen, but you're also in this gap between the 50 and the 200 DMA. And let's see this gap. What's this gap about? The low of the day there was 149.59. The close was 150.94. So maybe you have some resistance right there at that gap. That's what we're seeing right now. But I think this is another stock that you can add to the list on top of GFS and CNHI that perhaps has upward bias throughout the day and high liquidity that can be good for day trading. So that's GFS, NVDA, right? Meta, CNHI, all of these really good candidates, I believe, for day trades or perhaps more. Take a look at the news and the fundamentals. Maybe you want to stick some of these in your long-term account. Maybe you want to sell puts on some of these. Okay. ARBTU, great days yesterday. Clearfield, terrible day. Hopefully it's bouncing back up here. There was some slight news this morning. There's some suggestion that, this stock is down because they haven't announced the ER date, that they're behind on announcing that ER date. So this is a M formation, which I don't like. And the 50 DMA here, or is that the week? Yeah, ooh, look at that. This is funny because the 200 week moving average and the 50 DMA are in exactly the same spot, about $77 to $78, right? And there's no major moving averages above that. So that's all you got. There's nothing really here to support it. If you don't, bounce like here on good news, or if we don't get a press release out saying, hey, our conference call is coming up next week, you see, you do have, this is it. You do have some support here at this previous high of like $86. Where did it reach yesterday? It got to a low of 90.50. So listen, I've been accumulating this via short puts as it's dropping, but you got to admit there's a possibility it goes to $78. And this is a long-term bull line, right? So that seems like a great spot to have exposure to this company at a net effective price of $77 to $78. All right. So Clearfield will have to wait and see when we get that news out for the earnings report. But that chart doesn't look so great for the very imminent future. But we know the fundamentals. We trust Chris's research, so that probably be a great pickup at an effective price of 78, and it might even be good here too. That's why I'm tiptoeing into it. I got 30% of my targeted allocation for CLFD overweight trade, already 30% in on this drop. Got room for the other 70% if it keeps on dropping. All right, want to mention this whole sector, that Trump sector. I think what we're seeing is a sell the news event this morning because Trump, it was up huge last night, this whole sector, because there were rumors Trump would announce last night, and he kind of did. So last night he said there's going to be a big announcement next Tuesday at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, everyone knows what that is. So, I think that excitement and anticipation, is kind of burst here. And that's why you're seeing DWAC go down along with RUM. And, I don't really expect much from the rest of these stocks. There's also PHUN, PHUN. There may be some pullbacks in the next few days, some opportunities to get back into some of these stocks. And then you see another spike into the Tuesday event. And then again, you have sell the news. Then that could happen. But for today, they don't seem very interesting to me. I just want to point out the PHUN. They do have potentially a fundamental benefit from Trump launching his campaign because they did create his last campaign app in 2020 or 16. I don't know which one. Yeah, probably 2020. They created his app. So they're probably going to get some business from this. So that's like a little fundamental thing you can add to PHUN. All right. RUM, by the way, has earnings next week. I think late next week. And I expect a huge drop at some point. We're right at very strong 1350 resistance. Okay. Man, it looks like it wants to break out above it and see 1516 real quick. I hope that happens. It may not, though, because that's a very, very strong resistance at 1350. Up against it numerous times. It kind of looks like a cup and handle over here, perhaps trying to break out of it. But, you just don't know. So you have to react to what you see. So 1350 is your resistance level. If it breaks out, you can see a big explosion really quickly. And if not, either case, whether you see the explosion or not, I expect RUM to have a bear raid shortly, right after earnings, because the fundamentals are going to make the stock look very, very expensive at $3.8 billion market cap. And those revenue numbers are probably going to be something like $10 million or something like that for the quarter. So this stock's going to look super, super expensive next week. All right, we had some other earnings out, which I'm not like so impressed with. I looked at the reports on, there was AGRX, there was GAIA. Look, GAIA is down 27%. I'm not touching these things. I'm done with these very illiquid microcaps that, in this case, you have sequential drop in revenue in GAIA. I'm done with that kind of stuff. Not interested. So, hey, if you like it, great. Let us know your thesis, and maybe we'll bring you on our show to discuss. Now, macro situation, we have midterms today. You could see, obviously, a sentiment-fueled kind of run. I do want to know, I think Tesla and Apple are both headed for the 200-week moving average. The path on how you get there, I don't know. Tesla looks like it's heading there like a beeline. By the way, if Republicans take control, you can see bad sentiment potentially in the green energy space. That may also be impacting Tesla here. I think it's also impacting NVDA. NVDA, a favorite in the sector. So I think that's why, one of the reasons why you're seeing weakness in green energy. Well, it's up this morning, but it's been weak the last couple of days. But I think you're going to see weakness in the green energy space on a Republican win. So Apple also, to me, 112, the path it takes there, I don't know. We can always see a bear market, rally first, but that really depends on CPI. We'll see how CPI comes out on Thursday, and then, does that mean we get a nice rally on Apple before that move to 112? And we'll have to just wait and see. On the good side here, TLT's up slightly this morning, but that might mean we get a better day for ARK. ARK only up 0.26%. Maybe it's time for a little day trade in TARK today, TARK. We've seen very reliable indicators since I brought this up, TLT and ARK. So when TLT is kind of up in the morning, you get momentum throughout the day in ARK, and vice versa. So very strong indicator. Although this risk asset Bitcoin down 6%. I don't know what's causing that. If you know, let us know in the chat room what's going on with that. All right. All right, guys, I got a bad cough, and that's going to be it. If you're watching this replay at 4 p.m. on YouTube, you can join our VIP community, get access to chat rooms, our new beta app, and all these events, 7-day free trial. And with that, a lot to do today, a lot to collaborate on, lots of stocks to potentially trade. I'm excited. I think we're going to make some good money today. I will see you soon. Thanks for joining us.